Have you ever wondered why certain truths about men and women are ignored, dismissed, or outright condemned? Why we are told that men and women are the same despite the evidence of nature, history, and human behavior? Schopenhauer didn't shy away from these questions. He confronted them with brutal honesty. He believed that women are governed by instinct rather than reason, that their power lies not in strength or intellect, but in manipulation, beauty, and emotional influence. He argued that love, far from being a deep connection, is simply a biological trick, a fleeting illusion designed to serve nature's purpose, not our happiness. This is just the beginning. His views remain some of the most controversial in philosophy, not because they are outdated, but because they force us to ask uncomfortable questions. Schopenhauer argued that this is because happiness is not real in the way we imagine it. It is not a destination, not a permanent state. Think about it. If everything we believe about love, relationships, and gender is based on illusion, what does that mean for the way men and women interact today? And if Schopenhauer was right, what are the consequences of ignoring these differences? There is more to this than most are willing to admit. Let's uncover it. Few aspects of Schopenhauer philosophy are as debated, dismissed, and fiercely criticized as his views on women. His writings on the subject were unapologetic, cutting, and to many deeply offensive, yet despite the outrage they continued to provoke, his arguments were not made out of mere resentment. They were based on what he saw as biological and psychological truths. Schopenhauer viewed women as ruled by nature, not reason. He believed their emotions, instincts, and desires shaped their decisions far more than logic or higher thought. Unlike men who he saw as striving toward ambition, philosophy, and intellectual achievement, women in his eyes were content with the immediate and the superficial, focused on security, social status, and fleeting pleasures rather than grand ideals. These ideas were not formed in a vacuum. Schopenhauer lived in a time when women were largely excluded from intellectual and professional life, reinforcing his perception that they had no inclination for deep thought. His personal experiences, including a famously bitter relationship with his mother and failed romantic pursuits, likely fueled his disdain. But despite the historical context, his core argument was not about social roles, it was about nature itself. Even today, his views remain unsettling in an era that champions equality. The suggestion that fundamental differences between men and women extend beyond culture into the realm of instinct and cognition is widely rejected. Yet Schopenhauer was not trying to be polite. He was trying to expose what he saw as reality, whether one agrees or not. His perspective forces an uncomfortable question: are we shaped purely by society, or is there a deeper biological truth we refuse to accept? Schopenhauer saw men and women as fundamentally different, not because of culture or education, but because of nature itself. In his view, men are driven by ambition, achievement, and the pursuit of greatness, while women are guided by instinct, survival, and immediate concerns. These differences are not accidental, but deeply rooted in biological necessity. Men, he argued, are built for creation, competition, and legacy. Their drive to invent, build, and conquer comes from a desire to leave a lasting mark on the world, whether through intellectual pursuits, warfare, or artistic achievement. Men seek to transcend the present, striving towards something greater than themselves. This relentless ambition, however, comes at a cost: restlessness, dissatisfaction, and an inability to find peace in simple pleasures. Women, in contrast, prioritize security over conquest, stability over ambition. Their focus, according to Schopenhauer, is not on reshaping the world, but on navigating it for survival. He believed that women, being more tied to nature, are pragmatic in their desires, seeking protection, comfort, and certainty rather than risk, struggle, or ideological pursuits. Because of this, he argued, women are often more content than men, as they do not carry the same existential burdens. This fundamental divide in values shapes everything from relationships to societal structures. Men chase power and accomplishment, often at the expense of personal happiness. Women attune to survival, influence from the shadows, shaping events not through force but through emotional and social maneuvering. For Schopenhauer, this was not a question of equality but of different purposes. While men dream of changing the world, women ensure the world continues as it is. This distinction, whether one accepts it or not, defines the very fabric of human interaction. Schopenhauer believed that while men seek power through conquest, intellect, and dominance, women achieve influence in a far more subtle, indirect manner. He argued that women do not pursue power through force or direct control, but through persuasion, charm, and emotional leverage, weapons that are often more effective than brute strength. Unlike men who shape the world through innovation and ambition, women in Schopenhauer view shape the world by shaping men. They do not compete in open battle but exert control through suggestion, influence, and carefully crafted illusions. Their strength does not lie in authority but in their ability to sway the decisions of those who hold it. Beauty in particular is one of the most potent tools of influence. Schopenhauer saw it as a fleeting but powerful force, a tool that grants women advantages in social and romantic dynamics. But beauty alone is not enough. It is combined with emotional intuition, the ability to read others, anticipate reactions, and manipulate situations to achieve desired outcomes. This form of power is often invisible, yet it dictates the course of relationships, family structures, and even political affairs. This dynamic extends beyond personal relationships and into society itself. Historically, while men have ruled openly, women have often influenced from behind the scenes, guiding kings, shaping leaders, and controlling outcomes through carefully placed whispers rather than bold proclamations. Schopenhauer did not frame this as a weakness but as a different form of dominance. Men build empires, but women shape the men who build them. In his eyes, power is not always about who sits on the throne. It is often about who controls the one sitting on it. Schopenhauer believed that one of the greatest differences between men and women was their relationship to time. Men, he argued, are obsessed with the future, constantly striving for long-term goals, chasing legacy, and building towards something greater. Women, on the other hand, are more attuned to the present, prioritizing immediate needs and security over abstract ambitions. To Schopenhauer, this was not a flaw, but a reflection of nature's design. Women focused on stability and survival tend to seek comfort, social harmony, and practical benefits. They are less likely to risk everything for a distant dream or an uncertain reward. In contrast, men sacrifice comfort, health, and even relationships in pursuit of greatness. Is this relentless ambition, while often destructive, is what drives progress, invention, and the shaping of history. This difference in time perception influences nearly every aspect of decision-making in relationships. Schopenhauer saw women as naturally drawn to men who could provide immediate stability, rather than those who lived for uncertain future success. In social dynamics, he believed women focused on securing favorable conditions in the moment, rather than long-term ideological battles. Even in personal desires, he saw them as less likely to be consumed by existential worries or grand philosophical pursuits, choosing instead to engage in what brings immediate satisfaction. The question then is whether this should be seen as a weakness or a different form of intelligence. Is it wise to trade momentary pleasure for uncertain rewards? Is male ambition a virtue or merely another form of suffering? Schopenhauer did not present an answer, only the observation that men live for what could be, while women master what already is. Schopenhauer saw love not as a deep, transcendent bond, but as a biological deception, an illusion created by nature to ensure reproduction. He believed that what people call love is not a spiritual connection or a grand destiny, but a calculated instinctual force designed to serve one purpose: the continuation of the species. Attraction, in his view, has little to do with compatibility or personal fulfillment. Instead, it is dictated by subconscious biological needs. Men are drawn to youth and beauty not because of romance, but because these traits signal fertility. Women seek strength, status, and security not because of devotion, but because they provide survival advantages. What appears as emotional connection is, at its core, a programmed strategy for reproduction and protection. Schopenhauer argued that deception is woven into love itself. Both men and women manipulate to achieve their desires. Men feign commitment to access intimacy, while women use affection to secure stability. These tactics are rarely conscious, yet they govern relationships, ensuring that both parties play their evolutionary roles. The tragic irony is that once love has served its purpose, once attraction has led to reproduction or stability, its intensity fades. What was once seen as eternal proves fleeting, and the illusion crumbles. Romantic ideals do not hold up under cold reason. Love is not selfless, not pure, not eternal. It is a carefully constructed trick of nature. The poets and dreamers may write about devotion, but Schopenhauer saw through it. Love is not about happiness. It is about biology. And once this is understood, the entire foundation of romance collapses under the weight of its own illusion. Schopenhauer saw women as essential to the structure of society, but believed their influence should remain contained rather than expanded. He argued that because women were driven by emotion, instinct, and immediate concerns, giving them greater influence in shaping laws, politics, or philosophy would weaken societal stability rather than strengthen it. To him, a well-functioning society required order and discipline, values he associated with male governance. He viewed women's priorities, security, comfort, and interpersonal relationships as necessary for family life, but ill-suited for leadership in broader social structures. In his eyes, their influence, when unchecked, led to a society that prioritized emotion over reason, personal benefit over long-term vision. But has history proven him right? The modern world has reshaped gender dynamics entirely. Women now play significant roles in politics, business, and intellectual thought, yet the same tensions Schopenhauer warned about still exist. The debate over whether modern society has benefited or suffered from these shifts remains unresolved. Are the increasing emotional and moral appeals in politics an evolution or a decline? Has the balance of power between the sexes created a more just world? Or has it introduced instability under the guise of progress? Despite centuries of change, certain dynamics remain the same. Women continue to wield influence through indirect means, shaping culture trends and social attitudes. The modern world has given them greater autonomy, but their core instincts, prioritizing security, relationships, and stability, remain unchanged. Schopenhauer views may seem outdated, but the questions he raised persist. Has society evolved in a way that aligns with human nature, or is it moving against it? And if so, what are the consequences of ignoring these fundamental differences? Schopenhauer's views on women remain some of the most controversial in philosophy, not because they are easily disproven, but because they force a confrontation with uncomfortable truths. Modern society insists that gender differences are largely the result of conditioning, Yet Schopenhauer argued that they are rooted in biology, not social constructs. And if that is true, then no amount of cultural reshaping can fully erase the fundamental distinctions between men and women. The debate over nature versus nurture continues to divide opinion. Are women naturally more focused on security and relationships? Or has society simply trained them to be this way? Are men truly wired for ambition and conquest? Or have they been conditioned to see life as a struggle for dominance, while social norms certainly play a role? Schopenhauer believed that instinct is stronger than ideology. Ignoring these differences does not eliminate them. It only creates confusion, resentment, and unrealistic expectations. When men and women are told they should think, act, and desire the same things, frustration follows. Relationships suffer, social structures become unstable, and individuals feel disconnected from their natural inclinations. The push for sameness, Schopenhauer would argue, does not lead to harmony. It leads to misunderstanding, and that is the final uncomfortable truth. Men and women may never fully understand each other. They are driven by different priorities, shaped by different instincts, and wired for different forms of power. This does not mean coexistence is impossible. It means that expecting total alignment is a mistake. Instead of forcing an artificial sameness, perhaps the only real path forward is acceptance of difference, no matter how unsettling that truth may be.